And we are live, as my good friend Nick Perrette would say. Welcome back, everybody, to episode 256 of Behind the ToolBelt. Thank you for joining us on this Wednesday edition. Today, we have another special guest. Stay tuned, and we will be back after our short intro from our sponsors.
TC Backer. Roofing, siding, windows, gutter, solar. Roofing, siding, windows, gutter, solar. TC Backer.
Is your lead flow down? Whether you're a company owner, office staff, salesperson, or installer, you're a roofing rock star. We help you get more leads with custom SEO, Google Ads, and a pro website.
Welcome to Behind the ToolBelt, where the stories are bold, the conversations are real, and the insights come to you live, raw, and uncut. Every week, host Cobb Backer sits down with game changers, trailblazers, and industry leaders who aren't afraid to tell it like it is. No filters, no scripts, just the truth. Please welcome your host of Behind the ToolBelt, Cobb Backer.
Chewy, that gave me goosebumps. It really did, that last part there. It was good. Good job, Vic. That's good stuff right there. So welcome back, everybody, to our weekly edition of Behind the ToolBelt, episode 256. 4 more episodes. We will be at 5-year mark, 260 weeks in a row, come hell or high water. Suited up, showed up, found guests, sometimes good ones, mostly great ones. Every now and then we had one that wasn't so good, but here we are. We made it through it. I've learned a lot over the years. The live, raw, and uncut version of this, I think most people that do podcasts do an edited version. They record it, and this has been live every week, no matter how I felt, no matter how our guests felt. Most guests, I don't think anyone's ever backed out. We may have had to reschedule in enough notice, in enough time. They let us know, like, hey, whatever, schedule conflict or something like that along the lines. But I mean, big shout out to everybody that's ever come on the show, and those that continue to keep coming back, like you, Mike. I looked forward to this because we knew you were coming up here this week, and I thought, what better time, because we always have a good conversation about real stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Like where we're at, where our thinking is, and you are cut from the same cloth that I am. Run hot, nonstop, run hot. I went and had my blood pressure taken the other day, and the lady, she did it 3 times, and she actually had a second nurse come in and do it again. And I was afraid they weren't going to let me leave. And I'm cracking jokes there, though she was kind of nervous a little bit. I'm like, listen, I just run a little hot. And she was like, hot? I'll be damned, like you're cross borderline stroking out on me over here. I'm like, listen, we're good. I'm good. Okay. So a couple of years I've been struggling with it. I was diagnosed, I guess, with hypertension and runs in my family. And we got on a prescription, and I was actually on 2. I was on a beta blocker and something for my blood pressure. Changed my eating habits and things like that, started exercising, and I was able to come off the beta blocker because it was doing something weird to me. Like I just felt sluggish. It was just, I didn't feel well from it. I was doing more harm than good. and went on this, doubled down, actually, I should say, on my exercising and what we eat, how often I eat, when I eat, what time of day I eat, right? That plays a lot in it for me anyhow, because if I eat real late, it kind of kills my metabolism.
Right.
You know what I mean? Laying in bed, snacking and stress eating and shit like that. And I'm still guilty of that, but not as often as not as much food and that I consume. But anyhow, just trying to take care of myself and doing this week in, week out, no matter how I feel. Right. I think that was the point that I was trying to get to. There are days that I just don't want to suit up and show up. And Vic and I were testing the sound out, and I was talking about, I was just acting as if I was on a podcast for a minute. And I was talking about, get off your dead ass and do something about it, especially when, the days you don't feel like it.
Yep.
Right. There are days that I just want to go home and hide under the covers. Right. Like, just don't do it. Especially the days that I don't feel like doing it with. The days I don't feel like working out are the days I have to do it. The days that I don't feel like taking care of myself or family business or professional business, I have to double down on those days.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the days I have to double down, because it's going to be there. It's going to veer its ugly head tomorrow. It'll still be here. Now I feel even worse. Now I feel even more overwhelmed because I didn't deal with whatever it was that I needed to deal with today. And I think so many people procrastinate, and they're kind of like, oh, there's always tomorrow, right?
Yep. There's
a time and a place for that. There's a time, there really is a time and a place. And I guess I'm of that hustle culture, right, wrong, or indifferent.
Yeah.
I'm known for burning the candle at both ends and just going in at it and working myself to death. And I think there's a time and a place for that too.
For sure.
You know what I mean? There is definitely a time and a place for that work-life blend, different seasons of your life, right, that we go through, right? Like, when things are good, then they go bad. And I am a firm believer in, good times make weak men, and bad, difficult times make strong men. And that's kind of something that I've tried to, relay to my children.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? My Jacob, 33-year-old Jacob, is an entrepreneur. He's a tattoo artist. And if one thing that we see eye to eye on is good work ethic, there's not many things that we did over the years. He probably felt the same way about me as I did with my dad.
Yeah.
Right. Like I despised him for a long time, but now he's one of my biggest mentors, right? Because of his work ethic and nonstop work. And the day that I stop working on something is probably the day that you're putting me in the ground. So I believe in hard work. It's who I am. It's what I do. It's what we do. It's who I am. It's what we do. Right.
Yep.
And I think there's a lot of people out there trying to figure out how to get, like, too busy trying to figure out how to get out of work instead of just putting the work in. Right.
Yep.
Especially on those difficult days. And there was many days that shit has hit the fan here at the office where it was like, man, if there was a day that I was not going to get on this podcast, today would be the day. You know what I mean? Like, just got the worst news. I got to compose myself, get my shit together, drop to my knees a couple of times. Like, God, please remove this from me for a minute. You know what I'm saying? Give me the strength and the courage to move forward with whatever the outcome is. I'm sure there's something that we're going to gain from it, right? New insight, a lesson learned, a new standard will be born.
Yep.
Right. There's a gap in the system.
Yep.
And I think that's kind of what we want to touch on here a little bit, is the standard.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny that you say that. Like, complacency is where, for me, it's a terrible place to be. I mean, absolutely terrible. And the days, it's funny where you hear motivation, people are like, I'm just not motivated. And motivation, I've heard it's, talked about many times, that motivation is just, it's bullshit, because it's there some days, but when it's not, like you said, the days you don't want to get up, you don't want to do the gym, you don't want to do your daily routines, the things, those are the day where progress is made, is getting up and getting it done. And I struggle with it on a daily basis. I'm like, I don't want to do this today. I just don't, especially when you're in the grind and you're building stuff and you're working and you're just tired and you're just like, I just don't feel like doing it. And sometimes you just got to sit there and you just got to be like, well, I know what happens when I don't do it. So get your ass up.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Right.
And progress is made through those days. Because the days that you feel good, that are the easy days.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I feel good today. blah, blah, blah. And I'm doing the thing. But today I didn't want to do it. We know we have to do it.
Yeah.
And even if it's whatever it takes,
Yeah.
you know, I've listened to Goggins and he's like, man, I'd sit on the edge of my bed for 30 minutes before I put on my shoes, like talking myself out of going running. You know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't matter what it takes to get there. Just get up and get it done. Something. It might not be the best workout, might not be the best whatever, but at least we're making progress and getting through that. And that is where I feel like that's where diamonds are made, man.
Yeah. That's where success is built.
Yeah.
Right. That's where self-confidence is built. That's where low self-esteem is smashed.
Yep.
You know, in those days where you're lacking the faith, the courage, the strength, the motivation is the days. And, you know, and on the opposite side of that spectrum too, you know, the days that where it feels like everything's going good and that we're starting to get this figured out, that's when you actually need to double down as well. You know what I mean? Because you can't, again, you'll become complacent. There's never really no time to coast. There's no destination. You know, I mean, you know, no finish line, I guess. It's a journey.
Yeah.
That we're on here, at least the mission that I know you're on, the mission that I'm on. Yeah, we have a why. We know what we're fighting for. We know that there's battles. There's going to be some won and some lessons learned. I don't look at them as losses. You're either winning or you're learning.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And we got to look at it as, you know, what are we, you know, why is this happening to us, but why did this happen to me? But why is this happening for us? You know, Baker was talking about that a little bit yesterday. You know, when things pop up, I've conditioned myself. It might not be my first 2.3 second thought, right? You know, but about 2.7 seconds after my first initial knee-jerk thought, I start thinking, okay, why is this happening for us?
Yeah.
You know, when you can think like that, like you might not see it right there and then at that exact precise moment. But that's where KPIs are born. That's where the SSOPs are born. And just to iterate what an SSOP is, right? Because I came up with that this morning. Tam was taking notes. And I was like, make sure you add an extra S to that. And she kind of looked at me a little funny. Like she knew there was a point to it, but she didn't know what it was yet. And SOPs are standard operating procedures, right? And SSOP is the standard system operational process. And that's what we have here. The standard is what the standard is. And again, not just individuals, but entire companies can become complacent.
Yeah.
You know, or departments, and maybe not necessarily all, but I think there's some that are still hustling and killing themselves over here, where there may be a group of people over here that are complacent and resting on their laurels. They feel like they've put their time in, they've already earned it. And it's like the rest of us are still motivated and haven't forgot that why, you know, like why we're here. We're having impact on ourselves. We're having impacts on our families. We're having impact on those families that we work with. We're having impact on the community that we live within. Right. And like, we can't coast. There's a lot of people that are relying on all of us, everybody in this building, each building, each facility, everywhere, like are relying, whether it's homeowners, our coworkers, our kids, our family. You know, what better blessing to be able to travel with your daughter, and then Jana rolls in here with our granddaughter, right? Like, I mean, if I needed a reminder today, it walked through that door unexpectedly.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, this is why I'm here. This is why we're doing this stuff. And I think people get in this rut of like, you know, they either aren't all in, they're kind of 1 foot in and 1 foot out, and they're more consumed with the stuff outside of work. There's never usually a work-related problem. It's usually a home or an outside work issue that they're bringing to work. And I think if you can have that open, transparent community, right, where at least there's one person that they can talk to comfortably, whether it's, you know, just a coworker or their supervisor. But I think, and I know you're open-minded enough too, to hear them out. I've heard you talking to, you know, you're coaching your team. It's just what we do. We got to coach our team, and Vic can coach, Sam can coach. We all coach each other to a certain extent. We all mentor each other. And that's the type of camaraderie that we've tried to produce here. But I think one of the biggest things that would kill that is gossip.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's yeah, you can't have the barking in the back, man. You just can't. And it's very difficult to get that noise. And it brings, I mean, we talked about it earlier of like the people that you surround yourself with. And when you say it, you sound like an ass. You know, you're like, like my standard is this, my family standard is this, and everybody around me, I'm holding them to this standard. Because not only for myself, because I have to hold myself to a standard, or I really like being lazy and eating food. And I could very easily be 600 pounds stuck on a couch somewhere. There's no doubt about that.
Same.
But if I have the standard of these are the things I'm trying to accomplish, these are the people that I put around me. And if those people around me are willing to live up to that standard, as I grow, I'm pulling everybody with me. And people just, I don't know if it's complacency. I don't know if it's probably complacency, laziness. And then they just want to chirp about, oh, this guy, he works all the time and, you know, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, you listen to everybody out there that has accomplished major things in their life. They didn't accomplish them in 30 or 60 days.
No,
it's decades sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, and everybody is different. Your timeline's different from my timeline. Sometimes I feel like I'm like, man, I've been doing this a minute.
Yeah.
Haven't I won yet? But then I have to take a step back and look at what I've won. And the gossip, the chatter, whatever that is.
Yeah.
That's not about me.
Yeah.
It can't affect me. I can't let it in. And you have to kind of take that and remove that from your circle, from your piece, if you will, or derails your mindset. And you're thinking about this over here when we're not focused on the goal ahead of us.
Totally. Two things. When you were talking earlier, you know, whatever it takes, that jogged my memory. I don't know if it was a couple of years ago. We were moving Glenn into more of a, not that he wasn't in a managerial position, but we were giving him more to do, right? And I was having everybody at that time. Every now and then we have everybody write out their job description, and we'll do a time study and stuff like that to just see what they're doing. And I think some people think it's us sticking a microscope up their butt, but it's really not. We're just trying to be more efficient and lean.
Yeah.
Right. And Glenn was struggling. He came to me. He was like, dude, what do you want me to put down? Like, what is my job description at this point in time? And I said to him, whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. That's your job. Whatever it takes. And I was grateful to just hear you say, because you get that.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I can't tell you exactly. Yes, Mike. You just got to figure it out sometimes, bro. Like, I won't. Maybe sometimes if you ask me, I'll hold your hand. I'll pat you on the butt. I'll give you a hug. But like, bro, we're in this together, and we're building the wheel. We're not trying to reinvent a wheel. We're building the wheel here together. And I swear to God, I saw a paradigm shift happen in that man when I told him whatever it takes. Like, he hit the ground running with that. Like, that's all he needed was like that affirmation, or that, not the affirmation, but just confirm with me, like, rails off, like I'm the man, right? Like, you are the man.
Yeah.
You go, whatever that takes, you know. And of course that's why we have core values. As long as you stay within that playground, you can't fail. And then if you do, then right there's a gap that we need to be filled, and we'll tweak what we need to tweak along the way. But as long as you're there. The other thing, so funny that we were talking about, and it's probably why I brought up the word gossip. Do you care if I read you something real quick?
No, go ahead.
Do we care? Okay, I'm going to read something. It's pretty profound, actually, and it's for tomorrow. I read a daily affirmation book by John Maxwell, and he cuts out little clips. The guy's got 84 books. Okay, so he put a book together for a daily affirmation, and tomorrow's is actually about avoid gossip is the title. Okay. And I'm going to try to see this here. It says, it's been said that great people talk about ideas. Average people talk about themselves. Small people talk about other people. That's what gossip does. It makes people small. Sorry, I can't read this very well. There really is no upside to gossip. It diminishes the person being talked about. It diminishes the person who is saying unkind things about them. It is even diminishing the listener. That's why you should avoid not only spreading gossip, but also being a recipient of it. If you stop people from unloading gossip on you, it will make you feel better about the person who's being talked about, as well as about yourself. Besides, whoever gossips to you will gossip about you. British Prime Minister Winston Churchill said, when the eagles are silent, the parrots begin to jabber. Good leaders are like eagles. They soar, they inspire, they fly high. They don't talk just to hear themselves. They don't vent about someone to others to make themselves feel better. Sorry, I can't see. I should have brought the book out here real quick. I'm almost done now. If they have a problem with a person, they go to that individual and they address the issue directly. Never through a third person. They praise publicly, they criticize privately, and they never say anything about others they wouldn't want to hear. They wouldn't want them to hear, because they probably will. Now, that's from the book, The 360 Degree Leader. Do not engage in gossip or allow anyone else to draw you into it. Okay. I'm guilty. Totally guilty. But I'm grateful that I read this, because that's the person I'm trying to be. I'm trying to be that eagle, right? I'm trying to praise publicly. I'm trying to criticize or scold or discipline, whatever, privately. Do you know what I mean? I'm trying to be that person. I'm trying not to talk about myself. I'm not trying to talk about other people. I'm trying to talk about ideas, solutions, things of that nature, right? Like being a part of the solution and not the problem, right? And I think a lot of that starts with my mindset. And this is what kind of stinks too, because what can also cause gossip is my ideas. And I have to be cautious, because not everybody's on my side. You know what I mean? And that's the thing that kind of sucks. And we talked a little bit about this before the podcast. It's like, life's too short for me to surround myself around people who don't encourage me or don't get inspired by being around me, because not only just that, but I want to be encouraged and inspired by those, and influenced and encouraged, and inspired by those that I'm surrounding myself with. And there have been people that when I have spoken to them, or I had conversations where I've just felt so drained after the conversation. It's like, you're asking me for help, but you already know everything. But then you go and just do it your own way anyhow, which is okay to a certain extent, but don't ask me for help. Or if I see you struggling and I'm writing your paycheck, like, I'm not trying to be control freak or dictatorship, but it is also my job to make sure it gets back on the rails too. But if I can't work with you and critique what it is that you're doing, then what kind of relationship is that? You know what I mean? It's almost tiring.
No, it's 100% tiring, and it's crazy. Like, some people just can't critical think maybe. And I mean, critical is probably not the right word to put in front of it. But like, think on their own.
Mm-hmm.
You have to micromanage every step of everything they do. And that's tiring.
Mm-hmm.
That's super, super tiring. I'm the kind of guy, like, I've learned from adversity and mistakes. That's how I learn the best.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, that's how I learn the best.
Yeah.
And that's, you look at everything that I've personally been through in my entire life. And at one point in time, I'm like, man, why am I put through this?
Mm-hmm.
And as I got older, I'm like, well, the only way to look at it is I can either wallow in the poor me,
mm-hmm.
or I can use the mistakes and the things that I've been through to gain momentum forward. And now, as I get even older yet and longer in life, I use my mistakes or things that I've been through to help others come up. That's the only reason. If I don't look at it that way,
Mhm.
yeah, I'll get into the woe is me. I didn't get a fair shot, all that kind of stuff. But I've never heard awesome stories from people that didn't come out of adversity.
Mhm.
So like put me through it. And whether I feel like I have the story or I feel like I have, sometimes I get the imposter syndrome. And I'm like, have I been through enough? Have I accomplished enough to even talk about these things? And I kind of pull myself back and like, I don't want to be, I don't want to be somebody out here just spouting in microphones and haven't accomplished anything in life or haven't done anything, or, because you have those people all over the place. And I've never wanted to be a hypocrite. I always want to, hold myself accountable. And that's what running teams does for me. Actually, people don't realize like the accountability that everybody else has for me. Because I can't tell you, Ty, you need to eat right. You need to go do this and you need to go do that. If I'm sitting on the couch eating potato chips every day, and that's how my mindset, kind of works. And just the joy of like trying to make people better. I didn't know for so long what I didn't know. And I know I've talked about it before on like what we're capable of. And that's what my standard is. I'm not accepting anything less than this.
Mhm.
And I'm going to keep bouncing that standard up as much as I can and holding everybody to that standard around me. People look in, they're just like, I can't talk to him. I'm scared to talk to him. And I don't know. He's always like upset, or it's like, I'm not upset about anything. I'm super passionate. I'm focusing on whatever that end goal is. And that's what I'm focused on and nothing other than that.
Mhm.
And if you take me away from that, you've got to go. But if I'm giving you a hard time and I'm holding you to a higher standard, it's because I give a shit.
Mhm.
If I don't care what you do and I'm letting you over here, that's when you may need to be like, I don't think he cares. I don't care. I won't spend 2 seconds or the breath to have a conversation if I don't care. If I'm having a conversation with you and I'm pushing you to be better or trying to help you become better without telling you what to do, but just, hey, like, this is what I've been through. This is what's worked for me. I've had hours worth of conversations of people in this company with, this is just what I've been through. This may help, it may not. And people are like, well, this has really helped me try to get through these things. That's the only thing I'm trying to do here is if I can do it, I know anybody can do it. So I have to keep getting better so everybody around me can keep getting better. So we don't ever hit that ceiling. Because if we ever hit that ceiling, we've already got those people coming up and they're like, oh, what? We're not winning anymore.
Now what?
Now they're going to move on.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
And eventually that's probably going to happen. Because I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm 90. I'm still trying to get better. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But always going to try to learn so I could always keep bringing people with me. And those, you'll find the right people that want to be inspired, that want to be pushed. And I don't think we as a society push each other enough.
Yeah.
I think we need to push everybody. We should push everybody to be better at all times. I mean, that's what would make, the world way better of a place if we all had higher standards. And at least for my setting myself at standards, that's what I've found. The difference of where I was even a year ago to now is different, and I've got a long way to go for sure. You know what I mean? But just that of like almost exactly a year ago, well, that was, probably 75 days, almost 75 days before that, I started 75 hard. I was almost 300 pounds. And I'm like, dude, I'm done. Like, I'm sick and tired of this. I got a good frame. I'm 46 years old. My wife's 32. I got to make sure I, don't look like an old fat slob. And, my wife's, way younger than me. And then as I did the 75 hard program and really dialed my stuff in, I was reading books and just listening to, other successful people around me. And I'm like, these guys that are super successful, like, they're hardcore, making sure they're as healthy as they can be, eating, not perfect, but not, we're not going out to the bars. We're not drinking alcohol. We're not doing the stuff that tones all of our motivation or discipline down. We just don't have room for it, and that 75 days put me in a whole different, just with eating habits. Now, again, I'm not perfect. I love food. But haven't gained 1 pound since I got off that. And I've stayed in semi the same shape. I don't work out as much as I'd like to and things like that. But there's seasons where I have time for that and I don't have as much time for it. But overall, where I look and my eating habits have stayed, and I'm like, all right, well, so now this is a habit. So I'm gonna do another round. I'm gonna choose a different habit, and eventually these habits will become habits, and it's the way that you live your life. And you, like we talked about, our base standard is here. Once we can meet that base standard, all it is just becoming better, even if it's a small percentage or 1%. A better at a time, you're still going upward and you're still making progress, but you got to find out where this, that line is, that standard for you is, and what you want to accomplish. And you just got to go and be willing to put in the endless amounts of work that it takes to get there.
Yeah. And I think over time too, it doesn't appear to be work anymore. Like you said, it becomes a habit. It's not really, it's a habit. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's a lifestyle change. And man, you said so many good things there. That and we want to be able to motivate people, and it's tiring for those that kind of sit on the sideline and ride on the coattails and stuff like that. And I've been through the ringer. I've kept people around me entirely too long, but it's kind of like, I hear the same thing too, where people don't want to knock on my door, not want to ask me questions and stuff like that. And it's like, I'm kind of not flabbergasted by it. Not that I have like an open door policy, but like text me real quick, make sure I'm not in a meeting or anything like that. I'll always carve time out, and I might seem irritated. And I said something to Amanda this morning. It's like, I'm not irritated with you whatsoever. Unfortunately, you're just catching a little fumes from whatever it was that I was inundated with at the time. But give me 2.3 minutes to kind of like change gears real quick and listen to what it is that you're saying to me, so I can actually hear you. But I think once people get to know us, they know what our purpose is. Like, we're not mean. We're driven people. We run hot, continuously run hot, and want to see others around us succeed too. And I like how you said that, like, if I didn't care about you, I wouldn't push you.
Yeah.
When I stop pushing you is when you really need to worry. All right. Like, I saw something or I'm tired of, that you're not willing to put into work. And this is thing too. Right. And I understand the imposter syndrome, and just for the record, Mike, if for any reason whatsoever, you wouldn't be on this podcast if I felt like you were a phony and haven't had an impact. There are a lot of people out there that are either on stages or have a podcast or a radio show host or whatever that hasn't experienced or ran multiple crews or led people, there's just too much of that out there right now. And one of the main reasons why you're on here is because you're not that individual. You have impacted many lives and continue to, and doing that self-improvement, right? Like, you have to continuously work on yourself, because whether it's an ego or pride thing, it's like, I can't have this thing outgrow me.
For sure.
Either, right? Because once we get there, and it's kind of like, when I'm done putting the work in on myself, that's where the leadership stops. That's where it ends, right? So you got to continuously educate yourself, continuously push yourself, continuously find different ways to improve your physical appearance, your mental state, right? Mental toughness, read books, listen to podcasts. And what's cool about this? No one's going to give this stuff to us. I'm not saying that you don't give me good feedback on like who you're listening to or what. One of the first questions I start asking people when I run into them, like I ran Hunter, came to visit us at Top Flight. The first thing I asked him was, what are you reading right now? Right? Like, I want to know what he's reading.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and he gave me a couple of suggestions, and I asked him that a couple of years ago when I first met him at a Revolt retreat. And he said to me, the first book, he said it was Relentless by Tim Grover. You need to read that. Okay. I listened to the entire book on the way home from Gatlinburg, Tennessee, the whole way. I mean, I didn't stop. I only stopped to pause to stick my foot straight up Lauren and Glenn's ass after I listened to it, because it had me so fired up.
Oh, yeah.
Because again, that was the standard. Standard is what standard is. I'm trying to think of the other book that he recommended to me, but my point is, like, we have to continuously keep growing. There's 3 books, 3 daily affirmation books, that two of which I start out first thing in the morning with. I read Ryan Holiday's Daily Dad. I bought one for my daughter Mackenzie. It's not just for dads. It's for anybody that's a parent. Super good book. I shared it with Amanda this morning. It's very neutral thinking. It's good. It's not one to the left or to the right. It's just he's a nowadays, he is a, what do you call it, a modern day stoic. Just good insight. If you're in any Marcus Aurelius stuff or anything like that, I highly recommend reading anything from Ryan Holiday. Somebody turned me on to him. I can't remember who, but I've read just about all of his books, right? And applied at least a little bit of something from his books, his literature into my life, right? And I look at these books as basic text, like when I was in high school. Unfortunately, I didn't like school. I didn't excel well. I didn't apply myself. I was bored. I don't know if it was because it was just boring, or I was a daydreamer, where I was daydreaming out the window. I don't know what the case was, but today, what's cool about this, getting back to the cool part, is that I get to be very specific on what I want to obtain, right? What I want to take in, like what small media outlets do I want to listen to? Who do I want to follow? Who do I want to be my mentor from a distance, right? Like Ed Milet's been my mentor for 5 years. He doesn't even know it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And ironically enough, a year ago, I hired a coach, first coach I've ever had, that I'm actually paying for. Guess who his mentor is?
Ed
Milet and Andy Frisella.
Yep.
He's a part of the something syndicate, the
RK Syndicate.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he's a part of that. He just got an award this year from Andy and Ed.
Oh, wow.
Small world,
That's
right?
awesome.
Just gave me goosebumps saying that, right? But that's what I know. If I want to be that CEO, right? Because I put that in my signature. Now, it doesn't stand for what everybody thinks it stands for. I put Chief Energy Officer in there because I'm the guy that's got to show up every day with a smile on my face, even when I don't feel like putting a smile on my face, and bring the energy, bring the inspiration, bring the empowerment.
Yep.
Right. And some days I have to keep that door closed. Some days there are reasons why that door is closed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I'm not running home and putting my tail between my legs. And I do try to leave here at a decent time today. I get up, I wake up with Rocket. I hang out with Rocket. My priorities are different than what they were a year ago, like you were saying. Even 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, my priorities have definitely changed. I've grown, I've matured, I've identified. I'm on this journey of this self-mastery, I guess, as Pedro Coulian would talk about self-mastery. You know what I mean? And it's like, when you think about that, it's kind of like, okay, I run hot. I know the type of person that I want to be. I'm not who I am, but I'm definitely not who I used to be. Okay. And I know who I want to associate with.
Yeah.
Right. I need to carve out those that and I need to figure people out too. Like, I know who I can spend 3 minutes with tops max.
Yep.
Right. I love them to death, but I can only do 3-minute increments. Right. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's other people that I can spend entire weekends with.
Yeah.
That I just love being around. And you're one of them. Vic's one of them. Chris Baker's one of them. Like, there's Jana, obviously. It's been 15 long year weekend that I've been with Jana. Like, she's my best friend. We have a slumber party every night, no matter where we are.
Yep.
Together. We have a slumber party every night. She's my best friend. Right. And life is too short to surround ourselves with people that, I mean, I'm not asking you to be as driven as I am.
For sure.
I wouldn't expect anybody to do that. Right. Certain people. Okay. Now you might, I just put that expectation out. I expect you to be as driven as I am.
Oh, I'm good.
Okay. Vic, you're not off the fucking hook either, bud. Okay. So, but you know what I'm saying? You are the people that I talk to on a daily basis. Like, we have to run at the same temperature.
Yeah.
Like, all the time. Like, we have to be, and that's why it's so easy to work with you guys, because it's like, it's not really an argument. I don't know if we have ever argued. Have we disagreed on something? Probably, but we both seen each other's side of it. It's kind of
Yeah.
like, you know what? Yeah, it does make sense. Let's try it. If it doesn't work, fine.
Well, for sure. And that's the one, I mean, that's just growth, right? I mean, I couldn't have 15, 20 years ago, that ain't happening.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, oh, that shit don't make no sense. And, you know, and it's like, you have to be able to listen. And it's funny you say run hot, because it's like, I listened to Andy the other day, and he was like, I deal with these people, and that's the only people I deal with now in these businesses, because they're the only people I can deal with. And it's funny because in where I'm at now, and, you know, I'm more on the forefront of sales teams and dealing with them, you know, everyday basis. And it's coming to the point to where it's like, I am driven, and most people don't understand me. And there's only certain people that I'm starting to bring in, and I was like, I got to deal with you guys, because you understand what I'm doing. And just because I say a certain thing, or I don't smile when I do it, or I don't pat you on the ass every 5 seconds or something like that, I'm not pissed. I'm not mad. I'm not, you know, I'm not firing you. I'm not doing all that thing, but other people don't understand that. And for, you know, Jamie and I have been together for 12 years, and it's taken her 10 to even get to understand me, because I wear, everybody calls it RBF. But it's like when I'm dialed in and I'm driven into my, like, I'm not mad, I'm not pissed, I'm not anything. I am focused on what I'm here to accomplish. I don't hear the outside stuff. And
Same.
unfortunately in my life, that's just, I'm focused on what I'm focused on. You know,
Right.
I'm not getting any younger.
Yeah.
I've got 10 years left in my goals till by the time I'm 55 to start being able to pull back and enjoy some of the things that I've hopefully, you know, been able to accomplish in my life. It's now's the time. So let's go forward momentum. But there's only certain people that get it, you know what I mean? And there's only certain people that will understand understand me and understand why I do what I do. And if people ask me all the time, they're like, how do you do that? I'm like, I have no idea. I can't give you a step-by-step of this is how I do it. I know I get up in the morning and I put my pants on like everybody else, but as of there, I have no clue. It's just, things have to get done. We got to figure it out. We deal with problems, and you got to listen to the problem, and you got to come up with a solution like that. And over the years, you just get good at it. But people don't really understand the whole running hot thing, and you can't mesh with a lot of people. Like it's my circle's super, super small, just because some people don't understand what I'm doing or why I'm doing it, or you need to enjoy life, or you need to have a work-life balance, and you need to, you know, do this, that, and the third. And it's like, I thought for a long time the work-life balance thing was a real thing. It's not. It's not a real thing. It's intention is the real thing. And I'm pretty sure that was an Ed Milet podcast I listened to, with intention. Like, do these things with intention. So it may not have, I have 5 hours for my family today. I may only have 3, but when I'm with my family, let's be intentional about that. When I'm at work, let's be intentional about that. And that kind of sets that up. You know what I mean? And I run hot just like you every single day. Home, work, sleep. I sat up at 3 o'clock this morning, and I'm rolling in my head, conversations in my head. You know what I mean? It's just, that's just the way that it is. And there's nothing I'm going to do about it. But that's also what is going to put me in places that, you know, other people don't have the drive to, or won't, you know, I don't want to say don't have it, choosing on themselves. They don't have it, or they don't want it for that reason. You know, so like, I'm okay with it for now. You know?
You know, I guess it could be a lonely place.
Yeah, it definitely can be sometimes. It's definitely different. As I was able to control more of my emotions, I used to call it passion. Like, I get so riled up and I'm so passionate about it. And I don't remember who I listened to, but I was listening to a podcast, and they were like, no, that's not what it is. You just can't control your emotions. And anger has always been an issue with me from, you know, when I was a kid. And the way that you were brought up in the old school construction, just like I was. It's way different. But you can't run people like that. People don't have respect for you. You know, you have to be able to be stern, and say things without yelling and screaming and doing all those kind of things. So it's taken me a long time to get better at dealing with my emotions. And that kind of puts things into perspective, and being able to, being able to deal with people a little bit better has brought, you don't run as hot as out of control.
Yeah.
But that's the growth that we talk about every step, every day. You're trying to just become a little bit better. It's something that you're not good at. You're trying to become better at it.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I like this topic because I used to run things with an iron fist. That's how I was brought up. That's how I was raised. Things were different back in the day. And you made a comment to me the other day that, I show a little more grace than probably, I don't even want to say most people, but being, I guess, in the position that I'm in right now. And I think what has happened is that not that I've necessarily learned how to pick and choose my battles, but I guess I've come to realize that I don't have to throw a hammer through the wall every time something bad happens. Do you know what I'm saying? And I used to act out. I mean, I would say things. I used to think that I wanted to be known for not taking any crap. You know what I mean? It was like walking around with like almost like a chip on my shoulders. If you're not working as hard as me, you need to get out of the way. And not that there's anything wrong with that. That'll get you so far. You know what I mean? But it's like, now I have to lean on other people, and I have to understand that people are going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Right. And I have to show grace during those times of mistakes and errors, because it's like the pot calling the kettle black, right? Like, I've made so many mistakes and errors over the years. I still do and still will. And that's why I call them lessons. I'm either winning or I'm learning.
Yep.
Right. And I have to show enough grace to everyone else to learn. Right. It doesn't mean I have to be happy about they made a mistake. You know what I mean? But there's times that there needs to be a stern hand at the helm during rough seas. Right. And I need to know when to turn that on and when to turn that off. And I need to also know people on which approach I need to take with those people.
Yep.
Right. Because if a lot of people know that I'm frustrated or upset, I usually don't have to scream or holler. Now, there are times I have to make the comment of like, okay, is this one of those moments that I need to punch a hole through the wall? Like, is that what you guys want to see me do? Regardless if that's a horrible statement to make, but it's sometimes you just got to figure out a way to get your point across without actually punching the hole in the wall.
For sure.
Do you know what I mean? And not that I have done that recently, and it's been over a decade or so since I think Jana's the one that's known for throwing salt and pepper shakers across the room, putting holes in the wall. Sorry, honey. There's just certain ways, and honestly, how you got to think about, like, how important is it really?
Yeah.
Sometimes, and I got to stop taking myself so damn serious too at times too. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, and this is like, okay, if they continuously keep making mistakes and errors, then okay, one, was it lack of training? Right? We got to look around and make sure, cross all our T's and dot all our I's, right? Was it lack of training? Is it incompetency? Is it lack of respect? Because I think at some point in time, it just becomes that, like, I'm just going to do whatever it is I want to do anyhow, and screw the standard.
For sure.
Screw the system, screw the operation, screw the process.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
But you got to identify that first. Do they have a learning disability? I talk about this all the time, and I'm empathetic for that. Right. I totally get, like, I learn a little bit differently than most people. Right. And I think you and I probably learn the same way. And I don't know if it's the way that we were raised or what the problem is. Some people, you show something one time to, and it doesn't, you could just tell them how to do it and they can just go do it. But me, it's kind of like, let me see you do it. Okay. Give me the hammer. Now let me try it. You know what I mean? I'm that kind of, I need that kind of teaching to be taught that way. So I look at, like, okay, how is this person, and there's different generations too. Like, in our company, there's 4 generations. We got baby boomers, right? There might even be more now. We got baby boomers. Okay. We got the Denny's, the Howies, we got the Vicks that are right on that cusp of Gen Z, Gen Xers and baby boomers. Regardless, they still fall within that time frame of baby boomers.
Yeah.
Okay. We got Gen Xers, we got millennials, we got Z's, and I think we're even coming up on Y's, Gen Generation Y now.
I don't even know the name
Yeah.
of all that shit. So.
Well, I know Mackenzie and them are the Z's,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
and I
yeah.
think Rocket and them are now like the
Yeah, I
Y's
guess
that are
so,
coming
yeah.
into the workforce now.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So like there's 4 or 5 different generations
sure.
of people that operate differently and need to be handled, talked to, treated
Mhm.
differently. Right. You know, and figuring that out. And that's some of this self-mastery that I'm talking about. It's like,
Yeah.
do I really even care about people?
Yeah.
Yes, I do. Okay. Well, then I need to know, not only do I need to learn how do I tick, but how do they tick? What
Mhm.
motivates them? Because it's not always money. It's not always money. Yes, money helps. Money's great. Money's everything. But like the environment in which we live in, I think is more important than anything.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is the thing. Most people will stay in a shitty situation because of comfort.
For sure.
And then would rather stay in a horrible relationship, knowing damn well that it would be the best thing for them to do is leave that relationship, but will stay in it because of the fear of being alone, the fear of rejection, the fear of that remorse, that loss, that fear of loss. Okay. And those are all the same feelings that we feel when we get demoted. There's a pivotal transition, even if it's good transition, even if it's good growth, even someone's pushing me, there's always this fear factor. And like, oh my God, they're taking this. Like they get complacent and they get stuck in this job security thing. And it's kind of like, well, and this is the thing I'd learned, right? Like if I do everything, I know it's going to be done right. So I thought, okay. But then I need to learn how to let go of some certain things. And this is where it's kind of like where the grace started to come in.
Right.
A little bit for me was like, I need to let them make mistakes because that's how they're going to learn. Hopefully it's not very costly. Okay. Hopefully we can get through it. Hopefully we can learn something from, hopefully we discover something that needs to go into the KPI, or we need to develop another process, another SSOP. Right. And through that growth and through all of these trials and tribulations of my own self, and I'm sitting here tiring myself out just thinking about all the shit that I actually do deal with on a day-to-day basis. And that's something I had to work on, I guess, is what I'm trying to insinuate here or allude to is that, you know, there's a time and a place to grab the helm, right? And get through rocky seas, but there's also a time and a place where we just need to be empathetic and show grace, because I think, like you said, you'll get much further with grace, but then you also can't go too far with that, because then you can just get taken advantage of.
There is definitely a gray line to that. And I mean, Jamie and I are completely opposite sides of spectrum when it comes to, like, you know, I'm hard nosed. She finds the good in everybody, which there's value in all that. You know, it's I can say to her, hey, look, like, you know, this person's, you know, we don't draw a line in the sand, like people are going to start taking advantage of things. And that's a line that you got to keep strong. You know, there's certain times where I'll reach out to her and I'm like, hey, I need you to deal with this person in this situation, because I know that they need to be dealt with in a certain way that I may not be able to say things or do things, and I don't want to come off in a wrong tone, you know, or a wrong way. But it's like, you definitely have to figure out how people tick and what their weaknesses and you know, what are their strengths and how they learn. Training sales guys, not everybody learns the same.
Yeah.
So that's why I think I've always been like, it's awesome to have online universities and the online stuff, but it's also, you got to have this part of it too, because you're doing somebody a disservice if you're only giving them a computer. If you give me a computer and tell me learn everything off your computer, get out on the street and good luck. Yeah. I'm probably going to fail at it, because that's not what I'm, you know, how I learn well. But other people can take that and they can run with it. So you got to give everybody, you know, a little bit of both sides of it so they can succeed. And sometimes you do have to be like, hey, is this one of these times like that I need to kind of lose it a little bit for you to understand what's going on. And even though I have kind of like a simple face and look serious all the time, there's definitely a difference into when like this, like, okay, enough is enough. We need to fix this stuff up. And being stern. I've gotten pretty good at being stern, and people know that I'm not yelling and screaming. And you know, most of the time it's like they're more of afraid not to live up to my expectations than they are of actually making the mistakes. But I've learned that I got to say, hey, we are going to make mistakes, and it's okay. It's going to be okay. We're going to work through those moments. I've got good at fixing mistakes, you know, so there's really nothing that I'm worried about if somebody makes a mistake that I can't fix.
Yeah.
So let's make them early. Let's learn from them, and we're going to be good to go. And it's still, I feel like sometimes I put a lot of pressure with expectation on people. And I've sat and had to think about that in the moment. And I'm like, I'm not willing to not put those expectations on you because nobody else is. So do they really care as much as I do? Because I want you to be better.
Yeah.
And it's not only sales, it's not how many you sell, it's in everything that we do in the outside, because sales and what we do, it all coincides with our life. Our life. If we're better out here, we're better in here, and vice versa. It all goes together. And I had an issue the other day where somebody came to me and they, you know, were saying, you know, somebody was afraid to talk to me, and I thought to go back to, like, I'm like, dude, are you being too hard again? Here you go, like, you know, and I had to work through that, and I was like, you know what, no way, like, I haven't yelled, screamed, punched holes in walls, flipped things over. And I'm, you know, years and years ago, I've done those kind of things. And I'm not willing to back down my standard because you're uncomfortable because of my standard. Because if you're willing to get in that uncomfortable space, that's where the magic happens. Yeah. And it goes back to what you were saying. They're willing to stay here, whether it's a bad situation or not, because they're comfortable. But in the uncomfortableness of whatever you're dealing with or whatever you're going to do, that's where things happen. That's where magic happens. The same way as the days that you don't want to do the thing, because that's where progress is made. Yeah. And that's what got to a point where, like, okay, well, we've got this part figured out. Let's go. Let's get uncomfortable again, because we're going to go back through that. And we're going to continue to keep growing in whatever we're dealing with at that time.
Yes. No, I agree. And then quitting becomes too easy. You quit something once, like, it just becomes that much easier to quit something else after that. You know, I've learned that too. And I've watched people get comfortable quitting. You know, and we talk about this all the time. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. And Vic and I had this conversation a little while back. I don't remember what it was, but it was like, man, this is getting comfortable. It scared me. It might have been, I don't remember what it was. It was about the show. And, you know, it's like, okay, well, that scares me a little bit. You know, months earlier, I was like, when is this ever going to get easier? You know what I mean? But here we got through whatever that adversity that I was faced with a couple months ago, where I was like, you know what, when is this just going to become comfortable? Yeah. You know what I mean? And then months later, you know, I ground through it, kept suiting up, showing up, kept suiting up, showing up. That became a habit. Yeah. Right. I'm getting more comfortable with whatever that was. But then that scared me, like, oh shit, like, I'm starting to feel too comfortable doing this now.
Step your game up now.
Yeah. Like, now it's time to step. What's next? You know, done next. Like, move on. Like, I had a conversation with Rocket this morning. You know what I mean? Like, don't ride on that award that you got last night. Put that shit on the shelf, man. That shit's done. Next. Yeah. Right. Like, now's the time you double down.
We just had that conversation, you know, and it through a conversation I just had with one of the sales managers, and then it like kind of like an epiphany hit me. And it's, you know, I always say, I'm a winner. I'm going to win. Right. Somehow, some way, I'm going to win. It's not the winning for me. Yeah. It's the, I don't want to lose. I don't want to lose. Like, I'm scared of losing more than I love winning. I don't really feel the wins. Like, I mean, I see them. Cool. It is what it is. Now what's next? Because I just don't want to lose. And it's, I don't know. It's what gives you the resilience and to keep going, you know, every single day. But it's what keeps pushing me forward. And whatever you know, you, like you said, you can't take that award and you can't ride that, because that is going to go away. Right. I don't ever want to I don't ever want to be, I'm not an awarder, stager. I'm good with the backside. I'm good with the hustle. I'm good with that. I don't need to be front side of anything or pats on the backs or anything like that. And I think some of that comes from, because I don't ever want to take this thing and just be like, I made it, because then you're done. It's over if you've made it. If people say, what's your end goal? I mean, my end goal for now is here, but I know it will be what's next after we reach this part, and what's next after that, and what's next after that. Because complacency is scary.
Yeah.
Like, it's definitely scary.
It is. It is a scary place to be, and that's not where progress happens.
For sure.
You know what I mean? In that comfortable state that we may feel at times. Now, don't get me wrong. I love a good Sunday morning. Don't waking up in my house, you know what I mean? At home, being at home, like this past weekend was great, but I didn't sit still. You know what I mean? We got things done around the house. We accomplished it. Actually felt like Saturday felt like 2 days in one because of the amount of stuff that we got done, because I haven't been home. I felt like for a minute on a weekend, had a whole weekend. There was a couple of Sundays I actually got home on a Sunday, but this past weekend was just, it was good. But when you were saying about the awards thing, I think it was last year or 2 years ago, we ended up going to Austin, Texas. A group of us went down there to receive our Master Elite President's Award down in Austin. Last year they booked out. I don't know how they book out, but if you don't sign up for it the year before, they run out of space. So last year we weren't able to go for some reason because they ran out of space. So it was our first year that we ever went to. We've been Master Elite for a minute, but somehow we were able to get down to Austin and participate in the ceremonial activities, right? And we dressed up nice. A group of us: Vic, Tina, John, Sandy, Glenn, Heather, Jana, myself went down there, and no sooner we got off the stage, I'm already texting Brad, what do we got to do next year? Do you know what I mean? Done, next, great. You guys hold on. It was just, they didn't even have our award there. It was the same award everybody was taking a picture with. And months later it was mailed, or Brad might have brought it to the shop months later, our actual crystal. It's a nice award. I love them. Don't get me wrong. And it's good to use for a homeowner. When they come in here, they say, oh my gosh, you got triple excellence award 3 years in a row. Yeah. That's what we do. That's the standard. You know what I mean? That's just what we do. I'm not looking forward to that award to celebrate the moment, right? Because unfortunately, I can't. I'm already thinking as I'm walking upstate to receive this award. I'm already thinking about next year.
Yeah,
I'm already thinking about well, what can we do to better this? What did we do wrong? You know what I mean? What could we do to perform better at a higher level? And this is it. That's just the triple excellence. Fortunately, they've changed some things, so we have some other things within the I don't know, within being a Master Elite, there's different layers now, levels to that we can succeed in. But I think that's the thing. It's what I did 10 years ago don't mean anything. And when you come across those people that state that's how we've always done it, that's the problem.
Yeah.
This is how we've always done it.
Right. For
For argument's sakes, there may be a time and a place to use that statement. Okay. I can't think of one off the top of my head right now, but I'm sure there's something that's just how we've always done it. But I think that's within that's where the problem lies. That's you being complacent, being entirely too comfortable, riding on your laurels, and no wonder there hasn't been any growth. Yeah, we've been in business for 50 years, but that's the way we've always done it. Well, that's probably why you've stayed at that monetary value, that value that you guys stayed at. I'm not saying it was wrong.
Yeah.
But there wasn't much growth. You've repeated the same exact day, day over day over day over day. So you don't technically have 50 years of experience. You have 1 year of experience repeating the same exact thing over and over and over for the past 49 years. So I always take that into consideration. When someone says I have 30 years of experience doing something, I always kind of dissect that a little bit and ask them questions. So what have you actually done over 30 years? right? Like, have you just had 1 years of experience with 29 days of repeating? That's how we've always done it over the past 29 years, because technically that's not 30 years of experience. Have you evolved with the times? Have you evolved with the technology? Have you evolved with the new technologies and products and things that have come out, just like AI right now? I don't use it every day. Like, some people like can't work without it right now. They've already ruined themselves. Like the GPS in my car has. I think we talked about this the other day. You know what I mean? Like, I can't go anywhere in the country without the GPS anymore. I'm ruined. Right. Like, I even forget like the 3-digit numbers on a highway, right? Like, I know 81, the odd number, 2-digit odd numbers run north and south. The even numbers run south, east to west. And like the 3-digit odd, I think, is a bypass. But like, I have to think about this. Like, I forgot because the GPS is ruining. Well, I'm afraid for me personally on my day-to-day activities that if I'm using ChatGPT, and I'm not saying there isn't a huge place for it, you know what I mean? Whether it's editing editing videos and creating SEO blogs and stuff like that. Because if you're not, and this is my point is there is a huge place for it. But I guess my warning is don't use it to the extent where it's going to mush your brain, where you don't know how to think for yourself without asking ChatGPT how to fucking tie your shoe. Okay. But for SEOs and marketing and writing things for stuff like that, editing videos, content, stuff like that, if you're not using it for that, you're not probably doing the amount that other companies are doing already.
It's a tool.
Yeah, it's definitely a tool and a resource that if you're not taking advantage of that tool now, and if you haven't already, probably for the past 24 months, you're probably not being noticed on Google.
Right.
You know what I mean? But if you're not capable of evolving with the times and stuff like that, we used to have people write our blogs for us. Would I say that's how we've always done it now? That would be dumb. Why would I still have people writing blogs for us?
Right.
When ChatGPT or some form of AI is producing 100x the amount of blogs that is going out everywhere across the internet right now for our company. Do you know what I mean? So the experience that we have, I can truly say and feel confident in myself that, I got 30 plus years of experience in the industry because I've evolved with it. I've changed with it. Did I like some of it? Not all the time. Right. But I've been open-minded enough to get company cam, whatever the case might be. You know what I mean? When GAF came out with the HDZs, how stupid would it be of me to say, no, we're sticking to natural shadows. I grew up with the Timberline. We're only sticking with the Timberline and organic felt paper.
Right.
We're not going to use a synthetic. I mean, that would just be our competition, or our worthy rivals would be outshining us tenfold by now if I was that simple and thought that narrowly. You know what I mean? Like,
you'd be dust in the wind at this point.
Absolutely. So you got to evolve with the times, with the change, with the technology and the products that are out there today, and continuously searching for the next. Do you know what I mean? You got to keep your eyes open and know what's coming next. I can't think of anything right now. AI is the biggest thing that might be the next, .com bubble. I don't know what the hell, if it's going to make the world come to the end, to the end. Like, some people were thinking like ChatGPT is going to no longer, Vic's got to have a job and we won't need.
Well, that's something I've hear all the time, and like in the sales space, and there's like, oh, AI is going to, take sales away. That's such horse crap, because people, like, as we get into more technology and the more of the Zoom meetings, and we went through COVID and Zoom, people are thriving to see people, right? I know there's things like instant quotes, and there's people that have programs out there that they're selling over phones and all this kind of stuff, and they're doing this thing. And I'm like, eventually, like, people want to be able to have a conversation with somebody in real time and read their body language, be able to read who they are before they give them tens of thousands of dollars to do whatever, or even more to do whatever project. That is not going to go away. I mean, there may be people that will do things that way, but it's going to be on such a small scale. And you can see, I mean, just with the way I'm going to use the election, not go into crazy politics, but people at some point in time are like, enough is enough. And the technology thing is definitely going to get there to where like we want interaction. I want to be able to read you. I've had conversations with you and I'm like, there's things that I tell people and talk to people about in person. I want to be able to read the body language. I want to be able to read who they are, look them in the eyes. And that's never, ever going to go away. I have more conversations in a grocery store now than I ever have in my entire life. And I look super mean in a grocery store because I want to get in and get out. But like people are having conversations. Hey, the tattoos, or hey, this, or hey, that. And you have a conversation with people. And I don't, that's never going to go away.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to say never, but at least for a very, very,
communication
very long time.
is never going to go away.
No.
You know, face-to-face communication is never going to go away. Now, having said what you said too, there will be a group or generation of people that would want to buy a roof online.
Of course.
So we have to accommodate that
Mm-hmm.
as well. We
Absolutely.
have to have the tools and resources to be able to provide an instant quote.
Yes.
You know,
Yep.
for people to, because some people don't even like to go to a car dealership. They go shopping for cars on Sundays because they don't want to deal with people because that's how those salespeople might interact with people when they come onto a car dealership.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But, you know, so you need both.
You do.
You need to have an online presence so people can check prices and do this and do that and Kelly Blue Book it and all this stuff. But that's also for a lot of car dealerships, say like, there's really no room to negotiate anymore because everybody knows what the price of everything is. So the margins are slim. So that, I don't want to say it's ruined because people always need automobiles.
Yeah.
So there will always be used and new car dealerships, always.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? There just always will. But how they have to conduct business today has to be different than it was 5 years ago.
For sure.
Do you know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm talking about. That's my point. Like if you're not keeping up with that, that's why a lot of these, Dover was like the capital, the used car capital. When you go up 74 now, it's not like it used to be, is it?
Mhm.
And I think some of that has to do with because of not evolving with the times.
Yeah.
You know, or maybe COVID, I don't know, the lack of vehicles. I don't know if there's like this lull where there's a lack of used vehicles to sell at the auction or what. I don't know, but they did something wrong.
Well, if people don't have to travel to go out and look, we're going to go look for cars today.
Yeah.
We can do it online and your car dealership is there and you have all the stuff and they make the phone call and they're like, hey, they can see everything there. And then now we've made our decision. We're going to go here and buy. Right.
Mhm.
And sometimes with car lots, you don't even need to, you can buy over the phone. They'll deliver it to you.
Yeah,
Right. Almost
right.
like an Amazon of
Carvana.
cars. But if you don't have that and you're expecting in 2024 for people to drive out, and there are going to still be people that do that.
Yes.
I drive through car lots on Sundays
All right.
because I don't want to deal with salespeople to look at things.
Yeah.
Just, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But if you're expecting that to happen, that's your only business.
Mhm.
That it's definitely going to put you out of business because those times are not gone, but
Mhm.
they're way less because it's everybody's busy. The creature comforts, the Amazons, it's at my
It's an
fingertips
Amazon
type of
world
thing.
today, man.
And that's you. And like you said, whether you like it or not, I'm not a fan of the Amazon. I'm not a fan of those things. But it's just the times and you have to stay with those times to an extent, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And if you don't, like, you're just you'll be pushed to the side and you won't be relevant any longer.
Exactly. Billboards are still useful. You know,
For sure.
digital marketing is definitely, if you're not doing it, but there are still some things, and for argument's sake, sometimes if you don't leave the basics, you don't have to go back to them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there are basic things, core values, whatever it might be, traditional ways of marketing and getting yourself out there. But the combination of both is definitely the way to go, regardless of what it is that we're talking about right now. It could be marketing, could be
anything.
Yeah, it could be
Anything. Yeah,
anything. So anyhow, it's 1:25. So I feel like it's got to be over an hour. I don't know exactly what time we started. Hour and 13 minutes into it. Okay. So let's wrap this up and get everybody back to work. Thank you guys for joining us, hopefully on your lunch breaks today. Especially you TC Backer people up here. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. But Mike, thank you for everything. I'm going to give you public recognition right now.
Appreciate that.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. And thank you for everybody. If you haven't liked, love, subscribe, share it, put in the comments a topic that you guys might want us to talk about next week or weeks to come. I know we got the 21 Turkey Salute coming up next week, next Wednesday. That's going to be off the chain. The expected amount of dishes served is roughly right around 1,000. We're changing some things up there. We're going to be cooking all of the food on site, all of the sides.
Oh,
So all of those people that we've pushed away in the past that wanted to help, like come down, help out. We're cooking the mashed potatoes. We're doing the corn, the stuffing, everything at the church, which should also make it easier for us doing 2 locations next year if we keep it all self-contained. So big shout out to Mark Jones and his team over there, who's getting us the food, and his, what is it? The Safe Serve Cert or whatever the hell it's called.
Yeah.
So we can serve food healthy to everybody, and his expertise in the food industry. He'll be there. His team will be there from JCB, events, I believe is the name of his company, with his food trucks and stuff like that. They're going to be helping out, pushing that. So we're already thinking about next year. Done. It's already over with.
That's it.
Right? It's already over. We're talking about next year already. We're going to be hosting one on the east side. And now I'm holding myself accountable by putting it out there. East side and west side will host 2 next year. And I think it's going to be a lot easier with us cooking the sides and everything ourselves. That way. So we're looking forward to that. I think that's Wednesday, the 27th, which will actually be episode 257. So we're 4 episodes away from our 5-year mark, 260, episode 260, which is December 18th, I believe, the week before Christmas. So that'll be a special, very special event. Not going to share with you what it is that we're doing or where we'll be streaming live from yet. But that will be a special edition. So you're going to want to tune into that as well. And I think as far as some other stuff, we got a whole lot of stuff. Beyond the ToolBelt's got a lot of other stuff getting ready to come up. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag yet, but stay tuned. So till next week, stay safe, take care of each other, and we'll see you